Welcome to the Sports Spectrum Podcast, where faith and sports collide. Here's your host, Jason Romano.
This is episode number 25 of the Sports Spectrum Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the show. My name is Jason Romano. It is awesome and a pleasure to have you joining us here on the program today. So much to do, so much to get to. But first, as always, you can download the podcast, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, everywhere podcasts are found. Please consider subscribing, because then the podcast will just show up in your phone every single week. Every single time that we release a new episode, the podcast will just show up right there, which is really cool. And as always, you can download the podcast and listen to it at sportsspectrum.com. All of our podcasts are there, all of our content at Sports Spectrum, including a daily devotional every single morning at 6 a.m. gets posted. Really a quick 2 to 3 minute read to help you get going on your day, as well as content every single day, articles and different updates and things on the athletes that are making a difference in the community and on the field and off the field through the lens of faith in Jesus Christ. Also, today, at the end of this podcast, we are going to announce the winner of Mercy Me's new CD, Lifer. Now, a couple episodes ago, we had Robbie Schaefer on, who is the drummer of Mercy Me. Really enjoyed talking to Robbie about his faith, his journey, his love for the St. Louis Cardinals and sports. And it was just kind of cool to get the behind-the-scenes look at what life is like as a musician on the road, recording, albums and CDs and things like that. So it was really cool to talk to Robbie. Go back and listen to that. That was really a fun interview a couple episodes ago. But we announced on that episode that we were going to give away the new CD, Lifer, from those listening on the podcast. So the easiest way to do it was to leave a review on iTunes, and we encourage you always to leave a review on iTunes, because you never know what might happen. We might give away some surprises on there too. But leaving a review, if you mentioned Robbie's name, you are going to become eligible to win a copy of the CD. And our winner today will be announced at the back end of this podcast. So stay tuned at the end, and we'll announce the winner of Mercy Me's new CD, Lifer. All right, today's guest, NFL running back Alfred Morris. Now, Alfred Morris, this is a lot of fun. We taped this interview a couple months ago at a conference in Florida. And we just had a blast talking for about 30 minutes about life, about his journey. And Alfred's just a really good-hearted guy. You can tell he just enjoys life and he loves the Lord. And his success has been kind of the opposite of a lot of athletes in the NFL. Most guys kind of come in and work their way towards, the top, if you will. He comes in as a 6th-round pick in the NFL out of Florida Atlantic, and he's starting in week 1 of the 2012 season with the Redskins. And remember that 2012 rookie class, that was RG3, Robert Griffin III, and Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck. It was just such a high profile draft. And Morris comes in as a 6th-round draft pick. Nobody even knows who he is. And he rushes for 1,600 yards in his rookie year and 13 touchdowns. And the Redskins win the NFC East. Now, any other year, Alfred Morris is probably the rookie of the year. But because of Robert Griffin III, who had such a fantastic rookie season with Washington, and obviously Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson having the success that they did, Morris kind of got put to the back burner a little bit when his season should not be overlooked in what he did in 2012 as a rookie. I mean, that's a dream season for a lot of running backs, and he does it in his first year. And then his seasons start to kind of go downward a little bit in terms of success. He still has great years in 2013 and 2014, but suddenly in 2016, he finds himself released by the Redskins on the Dallas Cowboys as a backup running back to a rookie named Ezekiel Elliott. So we go through this journey in this podcast of what it's like to kind of be at the top of your game in the NFL, and then what's it like to be a backup and a mentor at 27, 28 years old. So I think you'll really enjoy this. We also talk about Alfred's 1991 Mazda 626 Bentley. He's 28 years old. He got this car in college, and he still drives. He's had success. He's played 6 seasons in the NFL, whatever it is, and he's driving a 1991 Mazda Bentley. He still has the car. He calls it his baby. So we're going to talk about that as well. I really think you guys will enjoy this conversation. The NFL season is upon us. It's coming. Training camps start in a few weeks. This is going to be an awesome year for NFL football, and Alfred Morris is our guest here on the podcast, and we just appreciate him being here. So here, enjoy this interview. Episode number 25. Get you pumped up for the NFL season with two-time Pro Bowl running back, Alfred Morris. Alfred, thanks for being a part of the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right. It's a lot going on with you, man. I mean, what a career you've had. You've had, since 2012 was your rookie year. You come in the league and take the NFL by storm. You win the NFC East. You and Robert Griffin III have amazing rookie seasons. And, here you are in kind of 2016 with the Dallas Cowboys, and you're in a backup role. What's this journey been like for you in the NFL?
It's been a whirlwind.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. It's one I still haven't fully been able to take in. Even, like you said, my first year, I just completed my 5th year. I still haven't completely grasped what really happened our rookie year. It was just kind of like, all right, let's get back to it. You really don't have time to reflect. Well, I didn't. I'm always trying to move forward and get better. And so it's been a whirlwind. And to go from, I guess just seems like to be the top, my rookie year, all the way down to, being a backup and, even as low as being inactive, 3 games this year. It was interesting. So I feel like I've been on the whole spectrum from the top to the bottom. Even that bottom can get pushed a little lower, but see what God wills.
Absolutely. Well, let's go back a little bit. Pensacola, Florida was home, football and track guy. Let's talk about what was it like in high school for you?
High school was awesome. That was some of my fondest memories and my funnest times, and made some of my best of friends who I still keep in touch with, still go back and hang out with. And so it was an awesome time for me, and just really finding myself and who I am and who I wanted to stand for. Even at that age, I was grew up in the church. So
I was just going to ask you how your faith walk.
I grew up in the church. My mom always, no matter what we did, we always, we were at church Wednesday and Sunday, if not, more than that. And my dad wasn't really a believer, not until I went to college, and that was, that was a blessing in itself, just to see him grow, from like frowning because he had to go to church to like open his Bible in his spare time, like reading. That was like, wow.
Let's unpack that a little bit. So tell me the story. Tell me the story about your dad.
I didn't find out until I went to college, and I was talking with my younger brothers, my freshman year, and they was like, man, Daddy's going to church and he's reading his Bible. So I'm like, not our daddy. It's like, must be some other guy.
Yeah.
He's like, no, Daddy. I'm like, what?
Wow.
And just come home and see that, my first break, and just like, he's really reading his Bible. He's really like enjoying church, and it's really growing. It was like, man, if God can do that for him, he can do anything for him. That just boosted my faith that much more, just to see where he came from to where he was. It was like, man, there is a real God, and he really does love, and he'll never give up on us. And it was so amazing and just refreshing to see that. And like I said, it definitely boosted my faith and encouraged me further in my walk.
What kind of relationship did you have with your dad growing up?
Oh, I had a great relationship. I was, one of the fortunate ones in my neighborhood to have both mom and dad. I have a lot of buddies still, that grew up in single-parent homes, whether it was mom or just dad. Usually it was just mom, and it was interesting. So I always knew I was fortunate, blessed in that sense, to have both parents, and so I always had a great relationship with my dad. Even though he wasn't a believer per se, he taught us so many lessons, and it wasn't something he just told us about. He walked it out himself. And I know he had a saying, he's like, you got to be about business. And that was his way of saying, it was like, no matter what you do, you do it the best of your abilities. You do it better than it's ever been done. And if you're going to put your name on something, you make sure you put your stamp on it. Because that, Alfred Morris did that, Sean, whatever, my brothers. He was like, and you do that, or you show up on time. You never late. You be about your business. And he was like, pretty much take care of everything you need to take care of in a way that's going to make your name, not just your name, just make what you put your name on, like, I did that. Be proud of your work in a sense. And so, lessons like that he always taught us, and even how to treat a woman. Like my mom, he's always opening and shutting car doors, doing things like for anniversaries and holidays, and even just cause, my dad was always doing stuff and just loving my mom. And it was awesome to see, even though he wasn't a believer, he was a real father, real man.
He was laying the foundation. Yeah,
he just kind of taught us things, and I don't even think he realized he was teaching us these things. Well, I'm sure he was, but not to the extent that he was. And I even salute him more, and I sometimes sit and think like, thank you, Dad, because his dad was nothing like that. his dad was, a Rolling Stone. His dad was not in his life like that. And he could have chose to follow that same path, but he decided to break that and was like, I'm going to be, there for my kids. And he was always at our games. He was always at, always would work extra hours. We had a trip to go and he worked extra hours and do overtime and stuff like that to have that money. So one, we could pay for a trip for school related or whatever, as also to have spending money. So he went above and beyond. My dad was like awesome. And I thank him for that, just, getting the backstory. And like, man, your dad sucked. Yeah. But you decided not to follow that, to be the same, a model. You decided to change that and
break the chains.
And I love him for that, even more so. And
that's great.
Like I said, it's awesome.
So you come back from college, all of a sudden your dad's reading the Bible and he's following Jesus. Like, do you see a monster change in him, or do you just kind of see the same dad who I've always loved, but now he's reading the Bible and now he's worshiping God?
It was the same dad I always loved, but certain things would change. My dad was like, he had like a quick temper. He would get mad about the littlest things. Sometimes he still does it, but he's able to control it more. He was more loving. My dad, because he never really God never showed him love the way that I guess most guys was like, man, like you kind of, when it comes to loving another guy, you kind of like, but it's throughout the whole Bible, like just like brotherly love, just men loving men, in a non-sexual way, of course, and to the extent of my dad's love, I knew without a doubt my dad loved me, would do anything, would die for me, but he didn't he wasn't like he didn't show it like best you can give him was a handshake. Okay. And I remember sometimes just joking, tripping, I was falling and give him a hug.
Come here, Dad.
Man, get off me. He'd push you out jokingly, but he smile hey, give me a handshake. I don't want to hug you or anything like that. Yeah. And after just him getting to know Christ and accepting Christ, and I remember the first time he told me, I'm like, you what? What? He's like, I love you, and I'm like, wow, man, this Jesus is real. It's just amazing.
What a moment.
Yeah, I know. And it was just little things like that. His temper wasn't as bad as it used to be. Him telling us we love and just showing affection in a way that we never really seen growing up. And it was all it took was one choice, and this radical change happened. It's man, what a mighty God we serve. It's just so.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, even now I get tingles thinking about it. I'm like, man, that's awesome.
That's great. Yeah. That's good to hear, man. So you end up at Florida Atlantic. Yeah. Playing college football at Florida Atlantic. Mm-hmm. What was college times like?
College was interesting. That's when I really, growing up, I grew up in the church, and me and my brother, one of my younger brothers, we put it this way, that God was mama's God. God was, our grandma's God. It was our auntie God. We knew of God, but we didn't know God, and college was the time. So I was I would always give God, anything great happen, grades, get accolades in the football field, thank you, God, this is all you, I would thank him, but I still was living in the world. I was lukewarm, and even in that, this, God still loved me enough to bless me and do things for me and keep me, and it was I'm lukewarm. It said that he's detestable. He'll spew you out his mouth. Yeah, in that sin and that straddling that lukewarmness, he still was blessing me. He still was loving me. He still was guiding and shaping, and it was man, and sometimes I think about it, just God, thank you. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for just being gracious and merciful and just being patient with me. So, just going to college, I remember I was in a relationship, started in high school, and I was in a relationship, and God used that relationship to break me in college. And it broke me down to my lowest point. Broke me down to my lowest point so he can build me back up. And I got to a point of lowness, and I knew it was coming in. And I was like, God, I need you. I know, I won't be able to get through this without you. He showed me how, in hindsight, he showed me that, my relationship with that young lady was my idol. That was my God. I would do anything for her, and it was God was hey, but I'm your God, Yet you making this young lady my creation, your God, and you worshiping her and not me. I'm gonna use this very thing that you love so much to break you, just so you can just come back to me. And I just remember being before we was about to play UCF. It was my third year in college, and I just on my bedroom floor, my apartment, I just broke down. I was like, God, I can't do this without you. I need you, and I surrendered in that moment. And that's when he became my God, and not my parents' God, not my pastor's God, not everybody else. He became my God. Wow. And I was just serving for it. I was like, I'm all in. Like, this is it. I can't. My way ends in failure every time. I need you. Like, this is for you. And he just took that, and like and then like as I started walking ever since then, he was like, I'm like, I've been missing this all this time, like just to walk fully with him. I've been missing out on all this. I'm like, man, what going on? I'm like, geez, like I should have got this sooner, but his timing is so perfect. Yeah. And ever since then, he's just been building me up, and just been blessing me tremendously. So it's been awesome, and I've been enjoying this walk, and I'm continue to walk it out the rest of my life.
That's a great story, man. I'm talking to Alfred Morris here. Played Cowboys in 2016 as a running back with them. Let's go back to the NFL draft. 6th-round pick, 2012. What was that process like? Going in draft day, where did your agents? What were they telling you? Might you be drafted? You might not be drafted. 6th round is running back. Yeah. Okay. 6th round. At least I got picked. Like, talk about that. What was that moment like?
The whole process was crazy. Yeah. I ended up training down at IMG, and we had a great class. Oh my goodness, we had like Luke Kuechly, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Bobby Wagner. We had so many. Mike McDaniels. We just had so many guys. Like, we had a really good group. I think one of the best classes ever. Yeah. And all these guys are still kicking butt in the NFL right now.
And you also have guys like Andrew Luck, and those guys are still playing too. Yeah.
So we had just a really, really good class, and then, but it was an interesting time just being at IMG and just really training, get to know some of these other guys. And I knew I came to FAU. Nobody really knew about my school, you know. And so I know my agent was saying, like, you'd be lower round, like 6th, 7th round, maybe undrafted. And but I was always hopeful. In my mind, I was like, I'm a first round. Like, everybody like, I'm a first round. Sure. I don't care. Like, God's gonna do this thing. I've been writing out in my journal some of the things, like some of the. I wanted to run this time, this 40, jump this height, and just some of the stuff. The majority of it didn't happen, but it was all God's plan because He needed me to hit a certain mark so that I would be exact. And that was my real honest prayer. I was like, God, I don't really care where I go. I just want to be where You want me to be, and like just place me there so I can be used by You. Yeah. And that was my sincere heart. Even though I want to do all this stuff, but above all that, Your will be done. Like, wherever you have me, wherever You place me, I know that's where I'm going to be, and I know that's where You want me to be. And one of my other prayers was like, I just want to stay with the same team my whole career. That didn't happen, but
you always want that, of course. As a player.
Just because I was just like, I really don't care who it is. I just want to, play. I just want to play with the same team and just glorify You in it all. Yeah. And so it was interesting, and going through the combine. All that stuff was just it was all God. Like, setting us all up. I went my senior year, we went 1-11 at FAU. The school was like, that's like bottom of the barrel D1. Yeah. I love my school, but it's just the truth. And then we're getting a little more notoriety, but at the same time, like bottom of the barrel.
Well, 1-11, I don't care what school you're at.
Exactly.
It's not fun.
And even in that, I started in the Senior Bowl game. Wasn't supposed to be there. I was backup, but I ended up starting. It was fullback, but it doesn't matter. I still started in the Senior Bowl game. I went to the combine, the NFL combine, 1-11 FAU. I still went to the NFL combine. I did all these things. I got drafted. Like that. I wasn't supposed to get drafted, but that was all God. Like so many. He was just orchestrating, moving things, and even like in the Senior Bowl, the Redskins were coaching in that game. And, even out of position. I remember after the game, Coach Shanahan, I heard somebody say, hey Morris, and I'm thinking it's like somebody wanting some gear or something. I'm like, I don't have it. I'm like just running back to the locker room, and he's like, hey Morris, and I turn around, I was like, oh, it's Coach Shanahan. I was like, hey, how you doing, Coach? He's like, good game, and I'm like, oh, thank you, but in my head I'm like, I blocked the entire game. I didn't touch the football. I didn't do anything significant, yet you said good game. Makes no sense at all.
He won 2 Super Bowls. You know what he's talking about, though, right?
Yeah, so and then lo and behold, they end up drafting me, and I hear all kinds of different stories about the actual draft night and them, choosing me as between me and another guy. And, they was like, well, which one? And then somebody's like, oh, just pick this one, and it happened to be me. But, that was all God, just setting it all up. So it was an interesting process. I'm glad I got to experience a lot of things I got to experience, and it made me appreciate just where I was, just getting drafted. But I don't look at it the same anymore. I don't even watch the combine. I don't watch the combine for sure anymore. Yeah. I watched a little bit of the draft, the first couple, first 10 picks, and I'm like, all right, I'm
just
done.
kind of see.
You just once going through it, I just look at it totally different now. It's just like, oh, I'm so over that. So it just takes me back to a place. I'm like, oh, that wasn't that fun. So I'm gonna turn the channel.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned 6th round pick. Might not get drafted. Most guys who are drafted in the 6th round in the NFL, they kind of sit, going in, maybe you're going to sit for a year, maybe you get a little reps here and there. You learn, you just kind of take in everything that you're getting, in camp and all that. And all of a sudden, it's week 1 in 2012, and you're the starting running back in the NFL. And then you go on, and you don't just do okay. You rush for 1,600 yards and 13 touchdowns, and you win the NFC East. And you rush for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns to beat the arch-rival Cowboys to win the NFC East. You have a dream season. Like, that's a great season for any running back in any point in their career, and you're doing it in your rookie year as a 6th-round pick. Let's go back to 2012 and the season. Like, you say it's all God, and that's awesome. Obviously, we want to glorify the Lord. That's what this podcast is about. But the success that you have, you're basically starting from the top, which is very unusual for an NFL rookie, especially a 6th-rounder. What was that season like?
Looking back, that's a tough place to start. You set the bar really high, but I love setting the bar high and resetting that bar. Granted, it hasn't been going the way I envisioned it, but it's God's plan. And I'm sure we'll get to what progressed after that,
for sure.
That rookie year. And I just come in, and my whole hope was make the team. Make the team. 6th-round draft doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I can get cut just like an undrafted person. It doesn't matter. Make the team. And it was times I would literally be like, man, I'm getting cut. Like, I'm not going to make it. And but I was like, no. If I go out there and give it my all and just work hard every day, give it my all, and look myself in the mirror at the end of the day, it's like I know I gave it all. I can sleep with that no matter what happened, whether I'm cut, whether I'm kept. I can sleep with that, and I'll be okay. And of course, all the glory goes to God. So, and I just kept fighting and just kept.
But 1,600 yards, like, I'm not going to say it was easy because it's never easy to be playing in the NFL. My guess,
wasn't.
But. That's unheard of for a rookie 6th-rounder. So what's happening throughout this season that you're seeing go on? You have a rookie quarterback in Robert Griffin III and a rookie running back.
Yeah.
I remember this year.
I remember just going, out there the first game, and it really didn't set in until the Superdome. It was jumping, the crowd. It was just like sitting cheer, like, ooh. Yeah. I was like, man, this is it. Like, I made it to all these years, all this hard work, all I put in, I'm actually here. This is crazy.
No matter what happens, you get that one game with the uniform.
And I was just a little kid again. That whole year, that's the one thing I try to remind myself, it's a kid's game. Granted, it's a business and all this stuff going on. It's a kid's game, and God, blessed me to play on the highest of levels. So, of course, but it was just man, this is wide-eyed, oh, my kid in the candy store. Did
you realize, though, the success that you were having at the point, and you look and you're like, we're doing something that's not common here?
No, actually, I didn't. One, because by the bye week, we were 3-6, so the season wasn't going that great for us. Yeah, we ended up going on a 7-game win streak after the bye week after we lost to the Panthers. Yes. And then we took off and, was able to – it came down to the last game with us in Dallas. Yeah. And that's how we got to the playoffs, the wild card. We lost that game. Oh,
yes.
That was just heartbreaking. But I was so excited and just man, we did this first year. I can't wait till next year, and it didn't happen. But
yeah. No, absolutely. But let's talk about you're coming in as a rookie, all this success and all this, and as a believer in Christ, where's your faith during all this? Because it's hard when you achieve success like that, and you're a rookie, and you're just trying to acclimate yourself into the NFL, and you're this 6th-round pick, and you have this faith in God. Where is that? Did you have some mentors and some people that kind of help you that rookie year and kind of be a good support, or was it really just kind of here I am?
I was just kind of winging it. Of course, God was in the forefront. I was this is all God. He opened this door. Just a little backstory. The same way I got the starting job in the NFL was the same way I got the starting job in college.
Is that right?
It was get a chance. Granted, I didn't say I was going to get a chance. I was at the bottom. It was so many running backs in front of you. That was my first year, and my back in college, I remember it was my 3rd year. So now it's my first year starting, so it was my 3rd year. It was my redshirt sophomore year, and the coach was the starting running back graduated the previous year, so the spring he's I'm gonna give you a shot. I don't know what's gonna happen, just. And it was unfortunate. A couple guys got nicked up, nothing serious, but they kind of sat them down. In the first spring game, I had 10 carries, 150 yards, and they kind of
pretty good.
Like, yeah. So, and it was like, oh man, and they just kind of kept me rolling. And eventually, I was a starter, come the beginning of the season. And then the same thing kind of happened in the NFL. I really, just kind of stuck with it. And was like, okay, y'all need these opportunities to get my foot in the door, And they, a couple guys, Roy and those guys got nicked up.
Yeah.
And nothing serious, but it's like, okay, we're gonna arrest you. We'll, put this young guy and let him, do something. And they gave me that ball, and I'm like, man,
took off like a rocket.
Yeah, and I just kind of getting it. It's like, oh, okay. And then the next game I started, and then the fourth game I sat, and it was kind of like, okay, maybe this thing is really happening. And so it was just interesting how like college and the pros it was similar in the aspect how I became a starter. And just got the opportunity to make the most of it, and you're not promised a second chance, so make the most of that first one.
That's true.
And so it was. I always had kept God in the forefront of everything I was doing, but I didn't really have like a mentor. Most guys come in and they're a young guy. They sit behind a veteran guy. Maybe on his way out, kind of teach them ropes. But the veteran guy that was there really, because Roy and Evan, they were a year ahead of me. They weren't like as veterans.
Yeah, they weren't 5-10-year guys.
Yeah, Tim Hightower, who was the veteran of the group, he ended up tearing his ACL, but then they let him go before the season started, through camp and stuff. And it just brings me so much joy to see him still playing. Man, that's a whole other story. But so I just kind of go through this, and I'm like, I didn't really know, like, I was enjoying what I was doing, but I didn't realize, like, how good I had it or some of the opportunities I had, like, while I was doing it, because I didn't really have anybody mentor me, kind of like, this is NFL, this is how it's done. Granted, I had like guys like Santana Moss reach out and like, take care of your body, do these things, do that. So I was doing that, but just the position I was in and the success we were having, nobody really coached me on that. But I was always focused on like, man, God, it's all you. I remember before the Dallas game, like I just felt to write down like I'm gonna get 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. I wrote it down like.
Well, you ended up with 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that's pretty good.
And it was actually, I said 200 plus yards and 3 touchdowns, but I had over 200 yards, but I had a couple of runs they kind of blitzed and got hit in the backfield, so it negated some of my runs, but I ended up with 200 flat, but I was like, I still you got, little things like that. So Amazing. God was always in the forefront. I never forgot,
Amazing.
Like, who got me there.
So I got to ask you, because I don't want to, we're getting close to the end here, but I got a few questions more that I want to ask, because obviously you play in 2 Pro Bowls in your first couple of years. In 2013, the next year, you rushed for almost 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns. 2014, you're over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. So your first 3 years, you're over 1,000 yards. The numbers are dipping a little bit, but you're still the man. You're still starting running back. So 2015, you're still with the Redskins, but all of a sudden you're starting to split carries, and you're not running the ball as much as you did earlier in your first couple of years. And then 2016 happens. You're a free agent. You go to the free agency world, and the Cowboys sign you. Sign you to a 2-year deal, I believe. And then they draft Ezekiel Elliott, and all of a sudden you got this. He's kind of like Alfred Morris from 2012. He's getting the ball. He's coming in, and the high expectations were probably a little bit higher, being a first-round pick. I want to ask you, just in navigating from being the man in your rookie year to playing in 2016 to the point where you were deactivated a few games. What kind of encouragement can you offer somebody who's kind of walking through that world of like, man, I just want to get in there and play? But from a faith perspective, how did that test you? How did you handle that? That's adversity that you really hadn't seen before in your NFL career.
Yeah, it was hard. And that first year, my 4th year in the NFL, my last year with the Redskins, was harder than last year.
Okay.
But that last year in Washington helped prep me from my years past year. Season I just completed in Dallas.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. So you go from what some of me deemed the top. I was like number 2 rusher in the NFL under Adrian Peterson, who had a phenomenal year. He almost broke, reset the record.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, it kind of got overshadowed by that. What I was able to do. But pretty much you go from the top all the way to the bottom. I would have never thought especially the way it started. I would have never thought in my career that I would be inactive, and that was kind of like. Wow, and I just remember asking God, how low am I going to go? This is hard, and it was really tough for me. In that first year, it was a roller coaster. I'd be, okay, I'm good, God, and then it's like, oh, I'm upset. Not that God, I was like, why me? Why me?
Sure. And
it's like, and then it'd be like, okay, I'm good, and then I'm bad, then I'm good, I'm bad, and I remember just halfway. So when my wife describes it, I was almost like. like I was saying the right things, but my actions weren't lining up with what I was saying. I was really like, it's all in your hands, God. I trust you, I have faith, but my actions were saying I'm frowning, I'm upset, I'm like, I'm angry, and it's like, why? What did I do to deserve this? I didn't do anything. I followed you. I did this. And that last year with Washington, God just revealed so much to me. Granted, He gave me a peace, like after I think it was like probably like halfway through the season, like around week 8 or 9, we played like the New England Patriots there, and after that game, I just had such a peace dealing with everything. But He was just revealing things to me. He's like, look at this, look at this. One of the main things He revealed to me, just to give you an example, is He revealed to me like how much I feared failure, and just how much my pursuit of perfection, something I'd never be, yet I was pursuing this thing, and it was almost becoming my idol, in a sense. And God was like, just look at these things. Like He just tried to pull them like, oh, I didn't see that. Oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, I didn't see that. And I'm like, man, look, forgive me, Lord. Oh my goodness, like I got so focused on me that I lost sight of my Creator. I lost sight of the promise keeper. I started looking at the creation instead of the Creator.
Wow.
In a sense, it's like, oh, I didn't realize this. I'm so sorry. And I was worried about what man said. Oh, the coach is going to do, I need to do this, or the coach is going to do. It's like, who cares? Like, God is in control, and He had to show me, reveal these things to me. And I'm like, Lord, I did not know. And it's wonder why my progression slowly, right. And He just declined me to a point, and it's like, man, okay. And He kind of showed me some other things that what they were doing, but that's, it doesn't take a rocket science to see that they were trying to devalue me.
Yeah. So 2016 comes, you play with Dallas, you sign a deal, you kind of know you're coming in as a backup or at least competing, but you have a rookie running back who's a stud in the eyes of the team. They put invested so much as a number 4 overall pick in Ezekiel Elliott. 2016 with Dallas. What is that season like for you?
It was different. Like my expectations going in before the draft were totally different, and not even after the draft. So going in for the draft, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna compete, with McFadden. My goal is I'm gonna be a starter. Of course everybody's gonna be a starter, and I was gonna work my butt off like always. And like, okay, once I kind of beat him out, then I'll be the guy again. It's okay. And then they go and draft Ezekiel, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's competition that makes us better. I can compete against the first-round draft pick. This is going to be awesome. Yeah. This is the first time in my career I got to compete against the first-round draft picks. I'm like, that's cool.
Let's do this.
And then, but as the season progressed, it just went less and less and less. I had a role. I was playing more. I was scoring touchdowns. And all of a sudden, it just, like, started dipping lower and lower and lower and lower. And I got to a point to the end, I'm like, God, like, how low are we going to go? Like, how low are you going to take me? Like, I'm willing, I'm going to do this, but, man, this is hard. This is tough to go from the top to be at the bottom. And it's like, oh, man, this is tough. So, but like the way I explain it, I tell them, I was like, I can compete against a guy. I can compete against a player, but I can't compete against the system. The system is set up for, for a first-round guy to play, and that's when it kind of dawns like, all right, this is not the same situation I thought I was walking into. And,
sure.
And if I would have known, that they were going to draft Zeke, would I signed with somebody? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's where God took me. He took me to Dallas, and that's where I was going to be. And He brought me there, I still believe, for a reason. And I still hold to that. And
let me ask you this. So I'm thinking of Tony Romo in my head with the Cowboys, who was kind of the same thing happened to him on a different level. He's the starting quarterback for the Cowboys. He gets hurt. Dak Prescott comes in, and all of a sudden, as a 4th-round rookie, kind of a similar situation like you, he's pressed into action, and he has a dream season. So the Cowboys are having success. The team you're on is winning. They're 12-1 at one point, or 11-1 at one point, but you're not playing and contributing. And I'm wondering, because Tony was basically that too. Even when he came back, he knew he wasn't getting in unless something happened to Dak. Did you ever have conversations with him? Just both of you were dealing with something that you've really never dealt with. And maybe you didn't have conversations with him, but just makes me think like, you're not playing now, but your team is winning. How do you balance that? You root for your boys, right?
It was strange. Just like, I'm not contributing. I want to contribute, but we're winning, so I can't complain. Right. So I was, contributing in other ways. If I wasn't playing, which towards the end of the season it became a lot, I wasn't playing much, and I was praying. I was kind of joking, saying, if I ain't playing, I'm praying, just jokingly. But I literally would just be able to cover my team, cover the other team, cover just the stadium in prayer. Like this is an opportunity. Like, okay, God, I thought you brought me here to play, but that's not what you brought me here for. So I'm just going to let your light shine, even in this dark time. Like I was on the sidelines genuinely smiling, genuinely happy for my teammates, genuinely happy for the success of these young guys. I'm rooting for these guys because that was me not too long ago. I'm like, man, like I can root for these guys. And there was times, like I said, it was tough, but like the previous year helped me prepare for it. So the first year, my first year, last year with the Redskins of kind of decline, I was able to, God just kind of revealed things and start pulling things, drawing things out of me. And then this last year, with my first year with the Dallas, he started spiritually maturing me even more.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
your faith is growing in some ways,
even
though your playing time is diminishing a little bit.
Yeah, because my focus isn't on the game. Like once I realized that, like it's bigger than his life, it's bigger than his game. It's about reflecting God. And in those times, most people look at him like, what you're going through, in man's eyes, is like, there's no way you can be happy. There's no way that you can, be thankful for anything. Your situation is terrible. You're declining. People think you're done. And it's like, man, but I don't care. Like, I still got a smile on my face. I'm still genuinely just being myself. And I can catch people sometimes looking at me, like, on the sidelines or in practice, like, what do you have to be, like, happy for? I'm like, man, y'all don't know. I have the love of the Father in me. Like, you have no, It trumps everything else I do. Like, this game means nothing. I love playing this game of football, but it means nothing to knowing my Father and getting to grow with him. Knowing what I know now, I would go back through these 2 years all over again. The decline, the everything. I would do it all over again because I've grown so much closer to the Father. And it's like, man, like, you have no idea, like, the joy that brought me just to get to know him better. And
that's exactly what I thought of. The joy. I could just sense that joy in you, man. Well, let's finish up with this, and I'll have one last question for you that we ask all of our guests. But I got to ask you about the 1991 Mazda. So that's a gift given to you by your pastor, or you bought it for $2 from him, right? What year did you buy that?
It was my last year in college, so it was summer
2011.
So
you're still driving that now, right?
Hey, I still drive my baby. That's
so
my baby.
It's Bentley, right?
Yeah, the Bentley. Not a Bentley, the Bentley.
No, you call her Bentley.
Yeah, the Bentley.
So please just walk us through quickly why you're still driving a 1991 Mazda when you're a 5-year NFL vet.
Because I don't know, growing up, I mean, I didn't grow up in the best of situations. We had our daily bread. Yeah. Our parents worked their butt off, but I had 6 siblings, 6 brothers actually, and
6 brothers.
Yeah.
Wow. 7 boys in the house.
Yeah. Woo. So it was fun times, and just 6 brothers, and most people they graduate, their graduation present is usually a car. Yeah. And I didn't have that. I didn't expect that. I know my family situation. Well, and then you go to college, and I'm like, everywhere I have to go, like I walked everywhere. And I remember guys who were like, why are you always walking? Like, just call me, give me a ride. And I remember, like, it's like, well, I don't want to bother nobody, inconvenience them. And there was times I was like, I really need a ride because it was pretty far. And I would just, like, call, like, hey, can I get a ride? And he's like, I'm busy. They would be playing a game, like Call of Duty or something. It's like, what? It's like, why'd you, extend the invitation? So it just got to the point I just got tired of, depending on other people. And then, my pastor had this opportunity, like the car, I pray like, God, like I need a car, like I need to get around, I have to work, I have to do these things. And so he brings the opportunity. So paint these pictures. A lot of times we pray for things and ask God for certain things, and God blesses us with an answer to prayer, and it's not in the way we envision it, so we miss out on his blessing. Say if I envisioned, I was envisioning a nicer, newer car, and what God presented to me was like, here, I have a 91 Mazda for you. And it's like, faithful a little, faithful a lot. And it wasn't much, but I'm like, this is my car. I'm going to take ownership of this car. Sure. This is mine. Yeah. And it's like, it wasn't like some brand new BMW, anything like that. It was a car. It was an answer to my prayer, and I didn't miss out on his blessing. He gave me that car. So it reminds me of all that happened before that, all the walking, all the, lack. And then just the answer to his prayer that he gave me was like, this is your car. Like, if you want it or you not, this is your blessing. Wow. Do you want it or you not? It just reminds me of that time, and I'm just thankful, and just reminds me of, just like I said, everything and all where I came from. It just reminds me don't remind me to be humble. I can't really say that, but it just reminds me of just, I guess it's just the answer to a prayer.
And it came from your pastor, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think he's smart in doing that because, like, say if something crazy happened, he just gave me the cards and NCAA and their rules, but he charged me for it. Yeah. And he get $2, and I was like, yeah, let me give you more. I was like, let me give you like $5, and he was like, nope, $2, take it or leave it. And I'm like, wow. All right, take the blessing. It, you know.
That's amazing. Yeah. How many miles are on that thing?
It's like 144, 145.
Okay, it's not terrible. No, 25-year-old
She's
car.
Still young. Yeah, she got some brand new parts too, so she's running like a champ.
How about that? Yeah, that's great awesome to hear. All right, last question. I ask this to all of our guests on the podcast. What is God, Alfred Morris, teaching you right now?
Oh, what is he teaching me right now? Just to be content in all things. You know, just going back through in these last 2 years, you know, I've been at the top, I've been at the bottom, but in all things, learning just to be content. And true contentment. And I can say that. I can't say that because I've been like, I'm on cloud 9. I've been to the bottom. Yeah. Like, I'm at the bottom right now. I was in after 3 games this year. How I started, I would have never thought I would be, you know, in the boat that I was in. Yeah. But just being content in all things and just really just staying focused on him. You know, like one of the scriptures that come to mind is when, you know, Peter walked on water. When he got out of the boat and he was focused on the Father, he was focused on Jesus, he walked on water. When he started focusing on the storm, he'd be in the sink. So we just focus on the Father, we'll walk on water. So that's just stay focused on him, be content in all things. And that's where I'm at right now. And I'm just so happy and excited. Moving forward, I'm just excited about the future and what he's going to do and just how much more I'm going to grow with him. I'm excited.
I love it, man. That's great. It's a great word to end it. Alfred Morris, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed this.
And we do appreciate Alfred Morris joining here on the podcast. A lot of fun talking to him. I really enjoyed just listening to his heart. I really enjoyed meeting him. I mean, we did this in person. Most of these podcast interviews we do on the phone, and I can't see who I'm talking to often, but Alfred was right in front of me. I mean, he was right across the table from me, and it was really a treat to sit down with him for a half hour or so and just kind of hear his story of growing up with 7 boys in the household, including his dad, and just his journey into college and the NFL and becoming, you know, this rookie sensation with Robert Griffin III and the Redskins, and then ending up as a backup with the Dallas Cowboys in 2016, and, you know, how he embraced that. So it was really encouraging to hear Alfred Morris, and we wish him luck, you know, throughout the rest of his career, certainly in 2017 with the Cowboys. All right, we promised it. A chance to win Mercy Me's new CD, Lifer. And we're going to announce our winner right now. And all you had to do, again, was to leave a review on iTunes. Mention the fact that Robbie Schaefer was a guest from Mercy Me on the podcast, and you were automatically entered into what we call a drawing to win a copy of Mercy Me's new CD. So here's the winner. And this winner and the entry comes from Christ Follower 2486. So iTunes login name Christ Follower 2486, and that person wrote, I discovered this podcast from their episode with Mercy Me's drummer Robbie Schaefer. I drive 2 hours a day for work and am thankful to have found something sports related that is also challenging and encouraging me to grow. Thank you for what you do. Christ Follower 2486, thank you for submitting that review on iTunes. You, my friend, are the winner of Mercy Me's new CD, Lifer. So simply do this. Email me, jasonromano22@gmail.com. jasonromano22@gmail.com. And let me know that you are Christ Follower 2486. And I can verify that, by the way. And we'll find out that it's actually you. And then we'll send you your CD. And it's a great CD. Mercy Me's new CD, Lifer, is fantastic. And the whole album is full of great songs to listen to. But that is also a reminder for me to any of the listeners listening right now to definitely leave a review on iTunes, because we want to hear feedback. We want to know what you think of the podcast. We want to know if you have any ideas for future guests. We're always looking to do and have different people, male, female, different sports, whatever it is, music, movies, whoever it could be. Send us your ideas. If you have connections or contacts to certain people, let me know about that as well. We'd love to consider all types of different guests to talk about their faith in Jesus Christ and their walk and their sort of intersection with sports and faith. So definitely leave a review. Get in touch with us. Reach out to us, sportspectrum.com, or on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and let us know what you think of the show. Thank you again so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Sports Spectrum Podcast.